Hello everyone! According to the book Instructive Chess Miniatures, in this video we will see 5 chess miniatures. A miniature is a short chess game that has a final nice touch. Let me know in the comments which one you know before and which one you like the most. Let's get started. The first one is playing white Anderssen Adolf against De Vriesen Jean. And Anderssen started the game with e4, and this is called the evergreen game. After e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. This is the Italian opening. Bishop c5, and now we go with this gambit before. Let me know in the comments what's this famous gambit called. After b4, the idea actually of this gambit is to fight for the center and to speed up the development. After bishop takes b4, we go simply c3, holding or trying to seize the center. Bishop a5 and now d4. After d4, black said, okay, fine, but when I take, you cannot take back with the pawn, as the pawn is under the pin. Anderssen said, it's fine, who cares? I don't care about the center, I care about the fast development. Please take more pawns, please. But here his opponent said, no, I don't want, now you're threatening cd4, right? Yes, so d3. I don't want to allow this. Okay, fine, fair enough, queen b3. Queen b3 attacking on f7 and making use of the fact that this king is still stuck in the center and the knight is not developed yet, and knight h6 is not allowed according to bishop takes h6. That's why some queen's protection has to be played, and the queen f6 is there. And now attacking the defensive pieces. e5, move your piece away. Queen g6, and now gathering more pieces to the center. Rook e1. In front of the king. Knight ge7, trying to finish the development, and now bishop a3, trying to put more pressure on the knight. So maybe the castling is not that great. Here in this position, the best move for black was to go for d5. But black said, no, I want to counterattack him, and I will go for b5. And here's a very interesting and very instructive moment. Whenever you are materially up, don't look for counterattack. Because you are materially up and your opponent, most likely in the opening, your opponent probably will have a lead in development. So one way to do that is just to finish your development and give a material back. But don't start a new attack, because to attack, you need to be developed. And when you are not developed, you cannot attack. I hope you get it. So after bishop a3, b5 is played. Queen takes b5 attacking. Rook b8, yes, the rook is improved, but the rook is not important. What's important is to get castled and to improve your minor pieces in the opening. Queen a4 back, and now bishop b6. Why bishop b6? Because one of the ideas, black wanted to castle, but again, because he lost time for b5, he cannot castle, as bishop takes e7 is probably winning. After knight takes e7, there's a queen takes a5, and white will win a piece, or black will lose one. So after queen a4, bishop b6 is played, and he wanted to castle short. Knight bd2 is played in this position, and probably you have to castle short now, but he said, no, I don't want to castle, I want to finish my development, bishop b7. Now problems begins. Why? Because knight e4 is there. And now after knight e4, black, instead of castling, instead of playing some sort of say d2 in this position to move white back, like knight takes d2 again, or move the rook away, or whatever, he played queen f5. After queen f5, he's probably seeking some sort of knight takes e5 or something. So after queen f5, bishop takes d3 back, and now after bishop takes d3, the time of castling is gone. Knight d6 is a threat, knight f6 is a threat, the queen is there. Queen h5 is played, and now, luckily enough, white did not find the best move, and he played knight f6. See, this sign means it's dubious move, which means there was a better one. The better move was simply knight g3 to go after the queen. Queen h6, bishop c1, attack the queen one more, queen e6, attack the queen one more, and after knight g6 or queen g6, simply knight h4, and the queen will be simply lost. Like queen g4, there's always bishop takes f7 check, and you will lose your queen. But as we said, luckily enough, knight f6 is played. G takes f6, E takes f6, and now the knight is pinned and attacked with a pawn. So what can black do? Black said, okay, fine, I will counterattack and I'll go for rook g8. threatening queen takes f3 in this position, and then will be a checkmate because this guy is pinned. And here actually it's a very instructive moment in this game. Usually, I don't want to say beginners, but usually not very experienced chess players tend to find ways to defend only. Like in this position, okay, you're attacking my knight. How to defend? I have, for example, king h1. I have maybe rook e3, but no, rook e3 doesn't work. I have bishop e2, bishop e4, bishop e2, maybe queen e4. How about g4? Like all of his or her thinking is just about defending the knight. But when you get more experience, you have to have this idea that I am not forced to only defend. I can make a bigger threat, so that will decrease your level of threats and increase mine. So here in this position, white found this idea of rook ad1, leaving this knight unprotected for a bigger threat. And it's not completely clear. So here in this position, black said, okay, wait a second. Did white just mistakenly play rook a to d1 and ignore or maybe forget about queen takes f3? Let's go queen takes f3. And now in this position, by the way, queen h3 was a better move, but queen takes f3 is played. And now in this position, white to play and win. Try to find it out. Wow. Very forcing, very instructive, very nice. Rook takes e7. Started with this move. Okay, but what if knight takes e7? Because now, as you can see, we do have a checkmate, and you don't have checks. Like literally, you don't have checks, and you are under a mating net, and it's not a mating net that you can solve. Like if you go g3, it's a checkmate. Bishop e4 doesn't work. I can simply take it. g3, queen h1, queen g2, checkmates. I mean, how can you defend this? Even bishop f1, like rook takes g2. Because I'm attacking 3 times here, but here is queen takes d7. Ay, 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 what a move. And after king takes d7, bishop f5, it's a double check now. And where to go? In the game, king e8 is played, but if you go to c6 trying to escape, then you will be mated in 1, bishop d7. So after bishop f5, king e8 is played, now bishop d7, and either you go here or there. Actually, here what played, there is this idea of bishop takes e7. What a nice checkmate in the middle of the board using these 2 bishops. Very interesting, very instructive as well. The second game, Paul Morphy playing with the black pieces against John William, and the game started by e4, e5, f4. This is called the King's Gambit. d5 countering that, e takes d5, e4. One of the ideas of e4 is to prevent ideas like knight f3, for example. Normally, f3 and c3 are the best squares for the knights in the opening. So knight c3 attacking the pawn, knight f6 defending, d3 attacking the pawn one more time, but now I go bishop b4. Okay, you can take here, but I can take back, and things will be in my favor as I am attacking, as I am having more development, yeah? So bishop d2 is played by William, and in this position, Morphy sacrificed another pawn and went on to play e3. Why? Because after bishop takes e3, now I am speeding my development as rook e8 is a threat against your king. After castling, now white wishes to play knight f3, but that's a bad move according to rook e8. And now the bishop is under fire, and if you go for something like queen d2, for example, now simply I can take bishop takes c3. And after b takes c3, knight takes d5, and now the bishop will be attacked twice. Knight e5 doesn't work. There's always ideas like f6, and black is completely winning. That's why after castling, white, John William, said, okay, I'll go bishop d2 back, and then we'll see. So here in this position, Morphy played bishop takes c3, and you might say, okay, wait a second, why did he give up the bishop pair? I want to say that development in the opening is much better than bishop pair or strategical concept, because you are winning time. So after bishop takes c3, b takes c3, rook e8 check now, and bishop e2. Now white's idea is to play knight f3 and castling and play a normal game of chess, but Morphy said no, you're not allowed to play knight f3, as if you go knight f3 now, I can take and you cannot take back with the bishop, and you have to take with a pawn, and this is actually a very weak king side. And ideas like knight takes d5 followed by queen h4 checks, very annoying, very strong, very dangerous. So after bishop g4, white said fine, I have a problem here I cannot solve. So let's grab some material, or let's defend some material. At least I am 2 pawns up here in this position, and maybe that will give me some time. Now Paul Morphy played a very interesting idea, and for me it's very instructive as well. He played c6. Many of us, for example, will play knight bd7 in order to complete the development as fast as possible, as we learn in the opening. But there is another concept which is very important. It's fine to lose time if you find the right place for a piece. So here in this position, Morphy found that the right place for the knight here is on c6, as from c6 he can attack the e2 bishop from d4 or via d4. That's why c6 is played. I hope you got that concept. After c6, d takes c6. Now knight takes c6. I sacrificed a pawn right, but my knight is truly or rightly improved. This is the best place for the knight. But let's go back a bit. Here, for example, this idea is very greedy, and here you do have the main problem of yours is the development of the king side. So you need to sacrifice your material back, as we mentioned in the previous game. Sacrifice the material back so you can solve your problems. So one of the ideas here in this position for white is just to go back to f1, sacrifice the d5 pawn, it's fine, but then at least now you have the idea of knight f3, and then maybe later on some ideas like king f2, rook e1, bring your rook to the game. So at least you minimize your problems. But now after d takes c6, knight takes c6, and the problem remains. And because white was greedy, he said, okay, I'll take the pawn first, and then I will solve my problem. But in this time, Morphy said, no, you don't have time to solve your problem. Rook takes e2, sacrificing the rook. After rook takes e2, knight takes e2, the point is I'll go knight d4, keeping this pin alive. Queen to b1 in this position, but now bishop takes e2, king f2, the other knight is coming, and now king g1. And white said, okay, fine, after king g1, I might go h3, kick the knight away, then king h2, bring the rook to the game, and my position is great. But Paul Morphy said, no, I am not going to give you time to do that. I will keep attacking, knight f3, double exclamation mark. If you take, which is the only move, queen d4 check, king g2, queen f2 check, king h3, and an annoying guest has just arrived, queen takes f3, king h4, and now knight h6. Knight h6 threatening mate in 1 from here. So for example, queen g1 defending that. Knight f5 check. And after king to g5, very interesting checkmate. Queen h5 checkmate. This is miniature number 2. Let's go for miniature number 3. Many of these by Paul Morphy, but this is the last time we will see the Paul Morphy stuff. This is called the Opera game, and I do believe this is maybe the most well-known one in this in these miniatures. Like e4, e5, knight d6, d4, and after bishop g4, d takes e5. After d takes e5, bishop takes f3 is played. Why bishop takes f3 in this position? Because if after d takes e5, d takes e5 is played, then queen takes d8 is very strong, and then knight takes e5, and at least white is up a pawn, attacking the bishop, attacking on f7 as well, so white is completely winning. So after d takes e5, bishop takes f3 first, queen takes f3, d takes e5, and now bishop c4, attacking here on f7. After attacking on f7, knight f6 defending, and Paul Morphy played queen b3, attacking it twice here and there, forking these two guys. So queen e7, a duke count played queen e7. His idea is to defend the f7 pawn and to sacrifice a pawn, or not to sacrifice a pawn. Actually, he doesn't have the solution or the leverage to say sacrificing, but to give up the pawn and then exchange queens by queen b4 check, and then you have to exchange queens, and at least now I might survive this position, or like is thinking like this. But Paul Morphy said, no, you cannot exchange queens, and I will go knight c3. Now I wanted to go to take on b7, and queen b4, I simply can take your rook. So what can I do? Now I have time to defend the other pawn, c6. And this is actually a very interesting idea, because after c6, you're defending against these two jumps with the knight, knight d5 and knight b5. Usually in chess, a knight on c3 can be restricted with a pawn on c6, a knight on b3 can be restricted with a pawn on b6, and f3 with a knight on f6 as well, g3 with a knight on g6 as well. So after c6, bishop g5, Paul Morphy played, And now b5 is coming, and this is a bad move, and we mentioned this concept earlier. According to Steinitz, whatever, in chess, he said, in chess, only the attacker wins. Okay, but this is attacking. Wait a second. But, Steinitz says, the right to attack is enjoyed only by the player who has the better position. And here in this position, no one can argue that white has the better position. I have a better development, I have the bishop pair, etc. So, as black, I need now to consolidate. I need to finish my development. And if my opponent was weak enough and played ideas like, for example, h3, rook g1, rook f1, rook b1, then I might think about attacking. But to attack while you are behind in development, while you lack development, is very bad idea. And after b5, and actually whenever your opponent do this, then now you might think about a punishment, how to punish this way of playing, because this is not convincing, or this is not according to the principles. After b5, Paul Morphy here simply sacrificing the knight. C takes b5, bishop takes b5, check. And after knight bd7, now he brought up another piece to the game, castling short, castling long. And actually, rook takes d7 is a threat, because you cannot take with the queen, you will lose it. And you cannot take with the knight, you will lose it as well, the queen. So after castling long, rook d8 happened, but now again, rook takes d7, sacrificing the existent material, as I can add more material to attack, but you cannot add more material to defense, or to defend. So after rook takes d7, rook takes d7 is played, and now rook d1 again. Again, the same threat. I wanted to take here. So now, queen e6 by duke count played. So the point is, if you take with the rook now, I can take with the knight, as my knight is no longer pinned. But Paul Morphy found this fantastic queen sacrifice after knight takes d7, queen b8 check, and after queen b8, knight takes b8, rook d8. What's interesting about this miniature is that white used all of his pieces to deliver such a very nice checkmate. Miniature number 4, played by the sayer of our previous rule, Steinitz. e4 Rainier, played by white pieces, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, take, bishop c4, bishop c5, and now castling. Actually, this is, I don't want to say this is not the best move, but white deprives himself with this idea of c3, as after c3, if you take, then there is this bishop takes f7, and after king takes f7, there's queen d5 check. Note that queen takes d5 doesn't work, as you're attacking here or there, but there is queen e7 defending here and there. So after bishop c5, white simply castled, and now d6, and after d6, c3 happened. White hoped that white will cooperate and takes on c3, so that will fasten the, or at least speed up the development of white pieces. So after c3, Steinitz said no, bishop g4. I wanted to improve as well and to develop the pieces as fast as possible. So after bishop g4, now if you take on d4, I can take back with the knight, as this knight is pinned and I am attacking. So after bishop g4, queen b3, very interesting move by Rainier. Attacking on f7, attacking on b7, and get rid of the pin of the bishop. But here actually queen d7 is an interesting idea, as always after queen b7 ideas like, for example, rook b8 is interesting, and it's a possibility. But here Steinitz said, okay, it's just a pawn, I can take on f3, and whenever you take on f7, I will go king f8, and after here in this position, white actually should have played g takes f3, and the position is kind of okay, kind of playable for both sides, but white played bishop takes g8. Probably he was afraid of ideas like, for example, knight a5 attacking the queen, as the queen needs to keep this bishop protected. So he took here. He said, okay, I'll take here, and after rook g8, g takes f3. Now I am completely fine, no problems at all. I will finish my development. Say, for example, bishop f4, bishop g3. My king will be kind of safe, finish the development of the knight, and maybe if I can manage to do that, white is saying, then this king is in danger. This king cannot castle, right? So that's why here in this position, William Steinitz found out this great idea g5. Because this rook is misplaced, I need to improve it. And in the meantime, I'm stabbing bishop f4 ideas. So after g5, queen e6. And now a very important principle. Never attack in chess with one piece alone. And never do it with the queen especially. Why? Because your opponent will gain more times on your queens and more tempos there. So after queen e6, knight e5 is coming, and after knight e5, threats like, for example, knight takes is there. So queen f5 check first, I move away, king h1, and I move away, and now my king felt safe as if I castled, and now I have one piece, two pieces, three pieces, and you can count the queen as well developed while you only have the queen. So rook g1, attacking on g5 thrice, one, twice, thrice. But now very nice move by Steinitz, g4. Whenever you are attacking, one of the techniques, one of the tools that you needed to use is to open files and diagonals, as you are better developed, then that give you the right to attack, then open files and diagonals, so your pieces will make use of that better than your opponent's pieces as they are still sleeping. After g4, f4, attacking the knight, knight f3, I am coming. White's idea is that after f4, now the g4 pawn is no longer protected and I can take it with the rook. And after rook takes g4, white is hoping something like rook takes g4, queen takes g4. Now this knight is under attack. Where to go? Not clear. Maybe knight h4, and then that will give me time. Maybe knight d2, knight f1, bishop d2, rook e1, etc. Improving my pieces, and I feel like I'm doing okay. Huh? But Steinitz said, no, you're not doing okay. And he found this queen sacrifice, queen h4. Oi, oi, oi. And now wait a second, you're threatening mate in one, but I know chess and I know that the rook can take this way, but there's this checkmate. Thanks to the delayed of the development, now your rook is not protecting the back rank. So after queen h4, you cannot take. Okay, what to do? Like I go rook g2 and I hope for the best. Like I hope you take my rook, I take back, attacking the knight, etc. But here Steinitz finished up the game by queen takes h2. Another queen sacrifice. As you have now to take with the rook, then rook g1, it's going to be a checkmate. And this is the forced miniature. Don't forget to mention in the comments which one you like the most. Let's finish it with this miniature. Black's is Chigorin, one of the famous previous players. So played against Victor. Victor started with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. And after bishop c4, bishop c5, he castled, knight f6 as well, d3, d6, and now, very important moment in the game. Bishop g5, that is a dubious move. Wait, why is that a dubious move? While, if black plays castling now, this is a strong move. What a confusion. Wait a second, now I am confused. You need to elaborate. Yes, I am here to elaborate. So here in this position, after d6, you have to wait for the castling first to play bishop g5. And one waiting move is c3, for example. c3, knight, maybe rook e1, knight d2, knight f1. Whenever black castled, then you can go bishop g5. Why? We will see in the game. After bishop g5, h6 back, bishop h4. Because this king is not castled yet, g5 ideas are possible. The same idea doesn't work if black castled. Bishop g5, h6, bishop h4, g5. Why? This is actually the punishment. Knight takes g5. And after h takes g5, there is bishop takes g5. And this pin is very strong. Queen f3 is coming. Ideas like king h1, f4, f takes e5, improving the rook is coming. So this is very, very strong position. And very, very strong pin. That's why this idea is not well timed. h6, g5, bishop d3. And now it's not only about the bishop, and it's not only about the idea of knight takes g5, it's actually about this bishop being now an object of attack. In this position, either you move the knight first, one of the ideas is knight f8, knight g6, and protecting the g5 pawn, so you proceed with h5, or as Chigorin has done, h5. Either way, who cares about pawns? I am attacking the bishop, and the bishop will be actually taken. Maybe h4 works here in this position for white, but what happened was knight takes g5. White said, fine, you go h4, I take on f7, I am forking these two guys, and I will take the rook, and I'm doing okay. Like, for example, queen e7, knight takes, and after h takes g3, h takes g3. Even if you manage to take my knight, I'm not sad in this position. Like, I have enough material, 3 pawns, and a rook for 2 pieces. That's fair enough, yeah? But after knight takes f7, Chigorin said, but I'm not going to move my queen. H takes g3. And now it's up to you. Do you want to take my queen? Or do you want to take my rook? Oh, I did not think about this move. Okay, then let's take the queen. What to do? After taking the queen, Chigorin keeps the threats and played bishop g4, attacking the queen. Queen d2, and now knight d4. Why knight d4? The threat is after c3, knight e2 check, king h1, rook h2 checkmate. Oi, 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 oi. So what can we do to stop that? Easy, we go knight c3. But this is actually a bad move. White had to play h3 to stop that, but knight c3 actually looks normal. Like, I am improving a piece, connecting the rooks, stopping knight e2. What other reasons to stop me playing knight c3? Knight c3 is a very convincing move, and I will play it. But now, Chigorin found this great sacrifice, knight f3. It's not only a fork. No, it's not a matter of a fork. It's a matter of a checkmate. So this guy has to be taken. But after g takes f3 now, bishop takes f3 is played, and in 14 moves, white resigned the game. Why? Because g takes h2 is a checkmate. Know that this pawn is under the pen, so you cannot take as your king is there. And what can you do to stop g takes h3? Nothing. Completely nothing. Like, maybe queen h6 is the only good move here. Not good move, but delayed move, for example, hoping that your opponent's phone will ring or something. But maybe back then, Chigorin was not like having even a phone, so maybe there is no clear way to win the game, or no ideal way to win the game. Anyways, so after bishop takes f3, wait, what if h takes g3? There's rook h1. We forgot to mention this, but I hope it's clear. So these are the 5 miniatures. In the comments, write me what's your best miniatures out of these, and what was known for you and what was not known for you. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Have a nice one.